we decided to take it on and solve what we believe is the most important problem, which is the management problem of all of this. So, you ask what's going on at the edge. A lot of resources are shifting towards the edge to solve for use cases that could never be solved before. Because of that, they're creating a management problem, and we are here to address it in multiple levels.
Indeed, and I was doing some homework before our call, and one of the analysts showed 80% of U.S. Fortune 100 companies use Dell for their edge solutions today. So does that mean you can go home after this and go to the beach and just relax here, or what's going on?
Well, that could possibly be a good recommendation. Look, the change is not in people needing compute. People will always need compute, and they've needed it before. But today, when we sell them, we sell based on our great attributes, like the type of compute, our innovation, our services. What we realize is that they need more from us. They expect us to help them with that management problem I was talking about. So, they need us to provide that equipment and deploy it without any human touch in a zero-touch manner, with a zero trust, strategy. They need us. They need us to help them manage those compute endpoints remotely. They need us to do lifecycle management for them. They need us to help them orchestrate workloads to those. In other words, Dell is stepping up its game. We are stepping up our game and becoming much more relevant beyond what we've already done and will continue doing. And of course, our hardware portfolio is unmatched and our services capability at the edge is unmatched. We are taking this great capability and we're adding more intellectual property and more services to make it further more relevant to customers in their future edge use cases.
So you work with everyone in the value chain when it comes to edge computing. I assume that means the carriers, the telcos directly as well as enterprise, as integrators and OEMs. So how do you describe the landscape in which you are driving this forward at Dell?
So that's true. So if you think about where things happen at the edge, they're outside of the data center, out in the field, which means that there is always a networking element to it. And a lot of our telecom partners are the ones who are carrying that torch and want to extend their services into enterprises at the edge. So we do two things, and that's why we're here at the show. We are helping them set up their core networks in a more open way that traditionally have been. And Dell is investing a lot in both hardware, which you may be able to see behind me over there, and a lot of IP and services. And then, that's for their networks. And then when it comes to them serving their enterprise users, that's more of an enterprise edge type use case where telecoms themselves are interested in solving for IoT, for retail, for even the adjacent use case in those, industry or retail is private mobility, and that's where they want to play as well. So us working with telecom providers is on multiple levels, from them core to their edge and to their customers' edge, with multiple technologies we are bringing to market.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I know Dell does a lot of work in very, very demanding industrial environments, in healthcare, in remote locations. You must be seeing more of that because it's not all about stadiums and Fortune 500 companies. It's getting the edge out into the field. What are you hearing there in terms of some of the use cases for edge that are quite maybe novel or interesting or different?
Well, even when things go out of the data center to the edge, sometimes they're not very different. In other words, about 50% of edge use cases are served by hardened hardware. So dust proofing, shock proofing, temperature envelopes and stuff like that. And about 50% don't. They come out with the exact same service or gateways that you would buy in other environments. Sometimes people put them in hardened enclosures, and that's yet another layer to the solution. And sometimes they have a clean room, or sometimes they don't do any of those things. But clearly, compute is going into places where it has never gone before. So now we're talking about mines and oil rigs and ships. And, in the extreme, you talk about planes and drones. And Dell is not going to play in every one of those spaces. We will partner. But when it comes to collecting the data from those environments and making sure that you have a management platform that can deploy your applications to them, that's where we come in. And so, yes, and in many cases, we have to work in very harsh environments, and our gear is up to spec, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk a lot about security and data protection and privacy and encryption and all that sort of thing, which is important for the edge. I guess Dell knows a lot about that as well, and that's increasingly critical to deploying applications. What's different about the edge in terms of security than maybe public cloud?
Maybe public cloud or maybe data centers, right? This equipment
Right.
is out there. So if in a data center you can, you have a lock and key and you can't get in, and you have multiple layers of physical access, at the edge you may not. And so if you walk up to things, you can, plug things into devices. So you have to think about it differently. You have to think about everything being exposed. You have to think about locking down elements, locking down ports, not enabling, physical connections to them. You have to think about other things. For example, we talk about supply chain root of trust. You have to think about security from the moment this device is created all the way through when it's shipped to an end user. You actually have to know whether the device that the customers got is the one that you actually shipped them. Well, it wasn't tampered along the way because you're shipping it to thousands of locations. And then the other side of security in the edge has to do with the fact that the consequences are not just money, right? It's not just reputational. If people can actually get hurt, right? If a water facility is breached, if a robot turns around and maybe over rotates and hurts somebody, if a machine doesn't stop working when it's supposed to. So a lot of the security at the edge has to do with safety and security protocols and physical security of people, right? People's well-being. So it's more complex, it's more exposed, the surface of attack is wider, and the problems to solve are more than in more protected, more controlled environments.
Fantastic. Well, what are you most excited about this week? Are you going to get out and try some tapas and some cervezas, or is it all work all day, every day, or what's going to happen in Barcelona for you
Well,
personally?
first of all, trade shows, as people know, are never all about work. It's a myth. I don't think you'd have hundreds of thousands of people showing up just for work. But to be honest, this is I'm looking at the innovation that's happening, and I'm looking at everything is moving and flying and being monitored, and I'm inspired, to be honest with you. It just shows me that what we're working on is important, and that there's a lot more to do even where we are today. So, it gives you great inspiration and confidence to keep going.
Well, congratulations on the tremendous success on your first day at MWC. It's great to see so many people back together and meeting in person. What a relief after the last few years. And yeah, we'll be watching you and your team follow at Dell_Edge for updates, and look forward to getting your take when you're back on home turf.
Thank you very much, Evan.
Well, thanks so much. Enjoy the week. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching.